We're good.
Awesome.
All right, we're back.
We are back. Episode number 4.
Are we on 4?
Yeah, we are.
Holy shit.
Is that you that's vibrating? Or is that me?
I don't know. It's one of us. It could be you.
Oh.
You just take the...
This thing hates me. There you go.
Yeah.
That sounds so much better. Do you actually shoot film?
I did actually for a minute. I did a few rolls of black and white.
Okay.
When we were in... we went to... Where did we go? We were in Arizona, and I shot a whole bunch of really cool black and white shots.
Nice.
In what is that? Was that like super touristy place that everybody goes in Arizona?
Sedona?
No, not Sedona. I wish we had gone to Sedona actually, but it's like the old Scottsdale.
Scottsdale.
Yeah. So we were like in Scottsdale with Stacy's family, and I had a roll. I don't know. Like my father-in-law gave me like a camera. I was really just getting into photography.
Yeah.
He gave me a camera, and it was a film camera. And I was like, yeah, I'll just try it out. Right.
Yeah.
I was like, this is cool. And, I shot a bunch of rolls of film in there and then the Grand Canyon and shit.
That's so dope.
Yeah.
One of my buddies, he strictly shoots film, and he was doing like wedding photography in film.
Oh shit.
And he's so big with the hipster crowd. And I'm like, dude, you should you should push that. Like that should be your gig, man. Because honestly, like, first of all, shooting film is difficult, but two, like nobody does it anymore. No. So
well, it's making a comeback.
Oh yeah. Right? I love
Peter McKinnon is like big into film now, and they're all like
the aesthetic is so nice. Like it's so beautiful. There was some website I was on like just even couple of days ago, and the guy, all of his photos on it are film.
Really?
Yeah. And I'm like, there's just something to it, like the depth, I don't even know what it is, but it's just like it looks so retro and cool. Yeah. So no, I really want to. They're cheap too, the cameras, so there's really no excuse not to try it out.
Yeah, for sure. These cameras, I don't think any of them actually work. I actually have like a huge collection of like vintage cameras at home. I've been collecting them for like quite some time.
That's not going to work.
Yeah, no. These are all things that I bought at like
just for props,
antique sales and stuff. Well, I mean, like I actually really like old cameras. Like this one's actually really cool.
Yeah. Is that it's one of those.
This is actually like a video camera.
Oh yeah.
And it's like you look down into this thing and you can actually see like out the
it's so crazy
viewfinder.
Yeah.
So
and now we have like this. Like it's just crazy. Yeah. Jeez.
But yeah, they're just paperweights now, props.
Well, I think of like what like my daughter is going to be using for technology in like 20 years, and it's insane.
It'll be like the size of your finger, and it'll take like the most incredible super sharp photos ever.
It could, but also the iPhone 4 and the iPhone 15 are very similar.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well, yeah, exactly.
So it's like, I don't know, are they going to maybe it's
I honestly, like, even for me now, I don't even bring a camera. Like, I don't even bring like an SLR or anything like that on vacation anymore. I bring, like, I literally bought that camera like for travel. Yeah. And I don't even use it because
it's still too big.
Well, yeah, it's another thing to carry.
Yeah,
that's
so
the
true.
thing, right? And like the phones are so good now.
They are.
That like, why?
I felt like an idiot. I was carrying that one around in Montreal.
Yeah.
And like I had the strap on and everything. I literally saw one other person the entire time we were there that had a I don't know, that's not true. There's 2 other people. But they were like, with their big cameras, their DSLRs. And I was like, yeah, I guess this is a dying art or something.
I don't know. Like, I mean, definitely there's something to be said for like photography. Like, there's an element of photography that you like with a DSLR that you just cannot get with like a phone. Like it's just, they're not there yet.
No. Well, look at the size of the glass though, too. Like you're not going to have a phone with that, right?
Exactly. Right?
So
let that much light in, it's just, it's a different animal.
This is now the nerd podcast.
Yeah. Yeah. So everybody who's not interested in cameras,
just click off of this one.
Like they already tuned out like a minute and a half ago.
No, 100%. No, I just think about it when it comes to technology and stuff, and I'm like, the stuff that I had as a kid compared to now is like, it's similar, but it's also not similar at all. Yeah. Specifically with like digital cameras and stuff, and the internet too, like computers and shit. Like that's completely different than it was. But
totally.
Yeah. It's crazy, man. The world like just like just goes quick.
It's going by fast.
Oh yeah.
By fast. Speaking of fast, what do you think of this setup?
This is dope.
Hey, it's cool now. Now I feel like this is so much nicer now that I can actually look at you.
Oh, 100%.
It was so weird when we were sitting on the couch next to each other. I was
just like glance over.
Yeah, looking at you out of the corner.
I was like, where do I look?
Yeah.
Where do I put my hands? It was like, no, this is dope, man. This is a great little setup.
Yeah, it's kind of nice.
I like this. Yeah. I feel professional.
Right?
I feel slick.
The setup is still takes fucking forever.
No, it is what it is. It's a pain in the ass. You get it down to a science, and then all of a sudden it's just like,
yeah.
I'm
hoping that's the way this will go.
No, this is good.
Quick. I'd like to, but it's funny because like I was telling Justin that I watched a couple of like podcast YouTube videos on like how to set up a podcast studio and stuff, and like they got like all this crazy shit. Like they got like lights that come down from the ceiling and stuff, and like cameras that are like attached to the wall. Yeah. And I'm like, why the fuck did anybody go through all that? And I'm like, now I get it.
Yeah. Because then it's just like, it's like
convenience,
plug
right?
and play.
It's like, it's like we want to record. Yeah. We don't want to spend an hour setting up. So we just.
Do you use this room for anything?
Right? No, not really. I mean, it's like one of those rooms that like it was meant to be like I guess, I don't know, the old terminology is like a closing room, right? So like you bring people in here to like talk to them and that kind of thing. Yeah. That was the original use for it. And like not very often, like somebody would come in here every once in a while and make a phone call. There's one realtor who came in here one time to use an old computer that was there. Yeah. And then that all went away. And then over COVID, this was like Lily's like schoolroom. This is where she went to school for a whole year.
Oh, damn.
So she did that, and that's why we have these desks and stuff in here, was for Lily.
Yeah.
And
how was homeschooling?
Well, we didn't homeschool.
I guess it technically it wasn't, but it wasn't.
It wasn't. Yeah. I mean, yeah, you're right. It was like, it's kind of like it was up to us to do shit, but like, honestly, she didn't learn a lot that year. Let's just put it that way.
I don't understand how you could, because you're just like, there's so many distractions, it's like,
we're not teachers, man. Like, we're not trained to be teachers. Like, like she goes to school, like she logs on for an hour, and then for the rest of the day, she's just supposed to like work on shit, and we're supposed to help her with that. Like, no, like that's not. Like, that's why she's supposed to go to schools, because we don't know that shit.
I feel like kids like lost a full year there.
For sure they did.
Yeah. For
sure they did. You know what was funny? I actually Googled like, what do you learn in grade 5? And essentially, I'm paraphrasing for sure, but essentially the outcome of it was like an advanced version of grade 4. It's basically all the stuff you learn in grade 4, but a little bit more stuff. And I was just like, as soon as I read that, I was like, well, I guess I don't really give a shit then.
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't think she's really going to like, this is not going to hurt her life.
No. I mean, honestly, I don't even know if skipping 3 grades would hurt your life in a lot of cases these days.
I mean, with the curriculums and stuff that they actually do, I don't know, like no hate on teachers or anything like that, right? Because I know that they work hard, and I love like all my teacher friends and everything that they do. I think is good, but I just think that, you know, like I just don't put a ton of stock in elementary school, just in general. No. She's in junior high now, which I'm like, okay, well, I think this is where she learns to this is where she learns to be a little bit more responsible and kind of prep for high school.
I didn't know.
High school, I think is neither did I. No. I didn't.
I didn't even learn how to be responsible through university.
Oh, well, that's fair.
Yeah.
I don't think I'm still learning to be responsible.
No, like I think back, and it was like, I had no study skills. I had nothing. Yeah, no. I was always like the guy who wrote my essays the day of or the day before, because it was a time crunch, and I was like, oh, well, guess I got to do this now. And I would just like, you know, put 5 hours into it and then be like, here you go. It was always like decent marks, but no, like I never learned I was talking to Rebecca about this the other day. I was like, I don't have any like time management skills, you know, like they give you the agenda and stuff. Yeah. And I would use it for like 3 days, and then I would never use it again. And I would always be like, this is the year I'm going to do this. And I just like never did it.
It's always the year.
Yeah. So I pull up my calendar now, and it's like, oh, I got to block out time. And like, I've never been good at that, to be honest with you. I'm very whimsical.
Me too.
Yeah.
Me too. I'm very much the type of person that, like, like starts things and then does not finish them.
Yeah.
So I'm big on like,
shit, you're hitting the nail on the head right now.
Yeah. I'm getting real. And it's like, and that's probably my biggest grievance, like just with my own self. It's just like I have like this massive ability to be able to like create and to like start these things, and I get lots of good ideas. I'm innovative. Yeah. But consistency and sticking with them is really tough.
Yeah, 100%. This is your biggest flaws episode.
Yeah, sure. Let's do that. How much time do you have?
Yeah, this is gonna be a 4.5 hour podcast. No, but that's so true with me too, because like I'm very much like a sprinter. So it's like I'll come up with an idea, and it's like if I don't do something about it right now, it's never going to happen. There's never going to be anything that happens. So like when I was starting my real estate brokerage, it was very much like, okay, like this is what you're doing. And it was like every single day, it was like just sprint. And then, there it is. Yeah. But no, like it's, the only other thing that I'm thinking about recently is my book. And I'm like, I actually have to be consistent with writing it. And like some days you don't feel like it. Some days you're like, there's no inspiration today.
Well, that's the thing, right? You can't always be like fully inspired to do that. Like writing takes a lot of brain energy.
It does.
Right?
Yeah.
So
you're just fried by the end of it. You're just like, I just sat here for like 4 hours. But like,
by the way, I read the preface to that, man. Fuck, that's wicked. I'm like, thank you. I'm pumped for that.
Thank you.
Are you gonna do an audio version?
I think I'm gonna do. I think I love audiobooks where like the author reads the book. Yeah. Not somebody that reads the book, but the author reads the book.
Well, I mean, if the author can convey like, I mean, I think for you it would be fine, right? Yeah. But I do know that there's like if they wouldn't be good with it, like if they couldn't read it in a way that was like pleasing to hear, then I don't think that they should do it. I think should sub it out.
That's fair. What I mean? Have you ever read Principles by Ray Dalio?
Oh, fuck. I tried. Yeah. Bryson tried to get me into that book, and that's a tough read.
Yeah, it is. But I got the audiobook, which you probably shouldn't for that book. It's probably more of a like,
I think I did try the audiobook of that one,
It's more of a like highlight as you go type book. Yeah. But no, Ray Dalio reads the first bit of it, and it's about his like life story of starting Bridgewater and everything. And it was like, you could just hear like the emotion and everything of like this man's life being put into it. And I was like, that's cool. Yeah. I really like this.
Yeah. Yeah.
But then he got somebody else to like read the second part of the book, and I was like, I'm less engaged now. But yeah, like I think that if the author has the ability to read it and like the content of the book is like about the author's life, you should not read it, I think.
Agreed. Yeah. Yeah, I think I agree 100%. Because like nobody's going to be able to put forth the emotion or the context in which like your tonality
for sure,
and like those types of things, like what you meant to say in that moment. Nobody's gonna be able to read your mind and be able to do that, right? Because like words on a page are so much different than like actual like spoken.
Oh yeah.
Right. And a lot of people are like sometimes I'll actually like physically read a book, but then I'll also listen to the audiobook for that. Yeah. And people are like, why would you do it like both? And I'm like, because it's a completely different experience.
For sure.
Like reading it and like listening to an audio.
Yeah.
Because like if you listen, like you said, if you listen to an author, right, who's actually like reading it how they meant it to come out, it's like it's fully a different experience.
I actually, when I'm writing, I have a program that reads out what I wrote, and it doesn't have like intonation and stuff. So it's like, like the Microsoft Sam voice, like, but no, like I use it because I actually like want to hear if it sounds good in that like voice. Right. So it's kind of a hack to writing where I put my like last paragraph in and I like reread it out with this like robotic voice. Right. And it's very interesting. Cause then you're just like, this sounds like garbage. And then you like rewrite it all or whatever. Yeah. But no, it's a process for sure.
Yeah. What do you think? What do you think's the ETA on it? Like, do you have a timeline?
I have like set a hard date because if I didn't, I wouldn't do it.
Yeah.
Like it could go on for years.
Sure.
So I set it as November 9th, which is 10 years from the date of my accident.
Shit.
So it's a 10-year anniversary.
Wow.
Yeah, like it's kind of like that's the whole premise of it. But that being said, it's going to be I don't know if I'm ever going to release like a hard copy of it. I might if people want it to be printed or whatever. But the reason being is that I actually want it to be kind of almost a living document where people give you feedback and they're like, oh, I want you to, like, you talked about this, but I want more expansion on this. And I'll be like, okay, cool. Like it'll become like almost like a community type thing where you tell me more like expand on this, or what do you mean here, or whatever. Yeah. And I think that's kind of the cool thing about technology now is that you have the ability to do that with a document. Yeah. Whereas previously a book was like a one and done, like some authors would do versions or they would do updates like 10 years later or something like that. But no, like I almost want it to be like this living document.
Okay, cool. Yeah. Yeah. So like, it'll just be something that just lives like on your website where people...
it's going to have its own website. People will be able to log in and like read it. Yeah. And I don't really plan on selling it up front. Like I kind of almost like want it to be more of like
just a free resource.
Well, that and like almost like a donate whatever you thought this book was worth to you.
Oh yeah.
Cool. Yeah. So like it's not going to be really like a charge thing. 'Cause like, well, with like online media and stuff, like people pirate that stuff anyway. Mm-hmm. Right. So it's like, I invite you to pirate it. Now my story's out there, my name's out there. Sure. I don't even care. Yeah. But no, like it's kind of it'll be almost like a portal where you like come in and like you read it and then you're like, oh, maybe this was worth $5 to me. I don't even know.
It's a cool concept.
Yeah.
I'm
hoping people are like, this was worth $1 million.
Yeah. Yes. I really love this. This changed my life.
Yeah, exactly. No, it's it'll be pretty interesting. I've seen it only done like once really this way before. And it was some indie hacker guy I follow on Twitter, and he kind of wrote like his book about like how you would get like an app out there. And that's how we did it. Was like, oh, you want me to talk more about this? You want me to talk more about this? Sounds good. There you go. You buy it once and then you get all the updates forever type of thing.
Oh, that's kind of cool.
Yeah, no, it's a cool concept. And I was like, I think I could do something here.
And then like you kind of build like and then I guess you can kind of build like a culture or like a cult following around it where...
Yeah. I always wanted to start a cult.
Yeah?
Oh, yeah.
Cool. What kind of a cult? Is there a pyramid scheme involved? Can I get in?
I'm more of like a forest guy, I go out to the log cabin and, like,
just fucking hang out.
Like give me all your assets type of thing. And, and I'll make your life better. No, oops. No, I'm not serious about the cult thing. Maybe I am. I don't know.
Oh, time will tell. It's a good segue though, because like I know that I think the next episode is definitely going to be about your accident.
Okay. Yeah.
I don't want to go too crazy with it, but I know that like I wanted to do it this week.
Yeah.
So I started listening to, you've done 2 podcasts on it, right? You did one for Long and Hard.
Yeah.
With Thomas, and then you did one just like on your own where you just tell the story. Like, was that the very first episode of Invictus?
Yes, it was. Yeah.
Okay. So so I wanted to listen to both of those before before we talked about it. 'Cause I wanted to like make sure that I had some
original questions,
good original questions and some insight.
Yeah.
And that kind of thing. 'Cause I mean, like, whatever. I mean, our audience is not going to know like probably
but
a whole bunch.
This is almost like the book where it's like expand on this.
Yeah.
That's kind of exactly what I'm going for, right?
Exactly.
So,
So this will be good because it will be like a good like cross promotion, I think, for your book too. Like it'll be something that we can use to actually
I appreciate that.
You can use to be able to like
that'd be cool
to launch it out there and to put it out there and stuff.
Yeah.
But like because like the whole premise of the book like kind of bases around your accident anyway, right?
It does, yeah. Like it's actually like most of the book is not about it. It's kind of me like taking the lessons, then like expanding upon those lessons. Right. So like the first chapter, it's a 3 part of the book.
Yeah.
The book's entitled Mountain. So I kind of go from everybody climbs a mountain in life, and you have like, there's a fall, and then there's the climb back up, and then there's like this peak, this pinnacle of existence. Right. Mm-hmm. So I kind of, it's a 3-part book, and each part kind of starts with like, the first chapter is like my story. And then after that, it's kind of like going into like expanding upon like what I touched on in that, and kind of talking about like lessons, and also kind of things that have like changed in my mindset because of that. Right. And so I think that that's kind of the overarching structure of it.
Yeah. So it's like part one of the book, like your fall and your climb back up. Is that kind of like the premise of it?
Yeah. So like part one will be like essentially about the injury. It'll be about like, it'll just be recanting everything that happened up until the point where I was like lying in a hospital bed,
right,
like trying to get better type of thing.
Yeah.
And then part two is kind of like the progression of getting better, taking it day by day, step by step, which is so like, it's, it's such a cliche, but it actually is, for me, was literally what I was doing. And then part three is kind of like 10 years on, how has my life completely shifted from where I was 10 years ago type of thing, which is funny. Cause I mean, anybody that's 20 and then 30, like I would hope that you're probably pretty different.
Be a shift of some kind.
Yeah. Like, I mean,
even from 30 to 40 for me.
Oh, for sure.
Right.
Even from 30 to 31.
Sure.
Like quite frankly, like
that's a good point.
Yeah. Like I think that,
that can happen in a year, man.
Absolutely, man.
Yeah.
So much. So it's, I think that that's the premise of it.
Yeah.
And it's going to be pretty cool.
Yeah.
It's going to go pretty deep. It's probably going to get a little bit esoteric at points too. Like it's probably going to be like, it's going to be over some heads.
Yeah. Which is fine too, right? It doesn't have to hit everybody right in the wheelhouse.
No.
Yeah.
It's kind of actually like, I really like things that I go back and read like 5 years later.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, this impacts me completely differently than it did 5 years ago.
Right.
Like I wasn't even in the place to understand like what was being laid out here.
Yeah.
And now I am kind of like, oh, I see where you're going with this.
Right.
Like I can actually apply this to like my situation or something like that. I was reading a blog post even this morning and I was like, I see what he was saying 3 years ago. Well, it probably wasn't even 3 years ago. It was probably like a year and a half ago. And, but now it's like, oh, this is like, this makes a lot more sense now. Like after going through my rabbit holes and my deep dives and stuff, I'm like, oh, this makes a lot more sense now.
Yeah.
So
just a different lens to look at it through, right?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Like your experiences create totally different perspectives on everything that you look at, right? You can go back and look at something really minor that maybe had no significance to you, 5-10 years ago when you read it, and then all of a sudden, just because of your life experiences, you look at that same thing and it's an epiphany in your life.
It's all perspective.
Yeah.
Like quite frankly, like all of life is like, how do I look at this? And it's like, what lens or what filter do I have on what I'm seeing? And like you or somebody else in the same room as you may witness something and like have a completely different view of what happened.
Right.
Because like they have a different perspective on it. And I think that that's like the major thing is you actually get to choose your perspective, which I think a lot of people don't understand or realize that you actually get to choose like what that looks like.
Yeah.
Just as like I was writing this yesterday. This
is all part of it.
This is all fresh in my mind.
Yeah, no, you get a sneak peek at the book here.
No, but like just as somebody like wouldn't look at a landscape like from behind a tree, you would step out around the tree and get a full glimpse of the landscape. Like why would you, like your perspective's not the only one.
Yeah.
You can just simply, walk this way 3 feet and all of a sudden things are completely different than they were back. So I was literally writing that yesterday.
That's funny. That's really funny. So like, okay, well, for people that don't know, can you give like a really short, like, not too in-depth, explanation of like your accident and what happened?
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, the 30 word synopsis or whatever was, I was up in the mountains, snowboarding, and I fell off a cliff and broke my back in 5 places, but one was the most significant. And like, I lost my legs. I lost the ability to use my legs. I was completely paralyzed. So I had
like a legit paraplegic.
Yeah. There's like grades of paraplegia, and I was like,
I didn't even know that.
I didn't either. Yeah. All the things you learn. Yeah. Dude, I'm an expert when it comes to this. The amount of research you put into this stuff when you're like in it, you're like,
I can imagine.
Yeah,
because what else are you going to do?
Oh, really? 100%. Right? And this was back in 2013. So like there wasn't like people sharing their stories of success. Like I had to like dig.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I had to like dig for like,
find somebody who beat it.
Yeah. I was like, did you walk again? Did you walk again? Like how? And then there's one guy, literally one guy in 2013 that I was able to find.
Really?
That like started like, yeah. And I was like, okay, possible. Okay. That's going to be me.
That's what you needed.
Pretty much.
You needed that one guy.
Yeah.
Shit.
You ever heard the story? Crazy. You've heard the story of the 4-minute mile?
Maybe.
There's a guy back in the, I'll completely butcher this, but like in the early 1900s, the 4-minute mile was like this unbreakable thing in the, in running, in the running world. Yeah. Right. But there was one guy who broke it. And then like that same year, there was like 40 people that broke it.
Right.
And it was all because they saw, oh, it's possible.
Yeah. Right.
And as soon as it's possible for one person, like, oh, well.
Yeah. Yeah, because everybody's got the blinders on to like what's possible until that moment that somebody else does it, and then all of a sudden it opens up the
absolutely
right.
Yeah, and I was like, okay, there's one guy in 2013, and now there's a lot of other people that I've like I've been able to I should reach out to more people, but I reached out to a guy in Saskatchewan who was a bodybuilder, and he like was a quadriplegic after a motorbike accident, and like he was like back on stage doing like bodybuilding after.
Really?
Yeah. And I was like, damn, like nice. And I like sent him some messages on Instagram, and I was like, this is, do something with this, man. Like this is really cool.
No doubt.
But yeah, like in 2013, there was like social media was just kind of getting started. So like you didn't really have that ability to like see these people. And now that you see it, like, and that's the thing, like if I put this book out there, maybe somebody tomorrow breaks their back and they're like, oh, Josh did it. Okay. It's possible.
Yeah.
Here we go. Yeah. I think that's the very cool part about it.
Here's a question for you that's kind of like on brand.
Yeah.
But how do you think, like, when you're able to like actually talk to Aurelia about this, how do you think that that's going to affect her? Like, what do you think that that's going to shift in her personality or change in her about like what you're gonna actually like what she'll get from your story and like what happened to you?
I think the difficult part is that like it's not going to be conveyable in that like she's not going to experience like what it was like. I think that'll be the difficult part.
Right.
Yeah, I've thought a lot about it because like I think about like how I'm not going to be able to do some things. Like I've thought about like, oh, I'm not going to be able to like sprint after her or something like that.
Yeah.
And I think that just kind of explaining like what happened will kind of alleviate that and kind of show her like, oh, my dad could have been in a wheelchair. So, but he's not. Like, I think that's a big part of it.
Right.
Yeah, I've definitely thought about it because I'm like,
because it's an interesting perspective to think like how your kid would like to understand resiliency and just like to portray like just what you basically just told me, you know, you know what I mean? It's a story of essentially that it's like, you know, something that not very many people thought was possible. And because you like did what you did or like were, you know, had the wherewithal to actually go out and source out this one person to find out that it was possible. Do you know what I mean? Like most people would just be like, okay, well, this is my life now. And they just like settle into that.
Well, and I mean, I watched a lot of people do that. I watched a lot of people do that because you're in a hospital with, you know, 30 other people that are in the same ward as you, similar situations. And like there were people that were like, this is it.
Yeah.
You know, like
this is where we are now.
This is, and
I mean, I adjust to life like this now.
And I mean, like, is my outlook or is that outlook more healthy? I don't know. Yeah. I've thought about it.
I don't know.
I thought about it because like maybe acceptance is a beautiful thing. But for me, like I was like never accepted it.
Yeah.
Like I wouldn't even get the handicap plaque. I wouldn't even get anything.
Right.
And it was like, because I wouldn't make it real in my mind.
Yeah.
And as soon as I didn't do that, like the door never shut.
Right.
Whereas I think a lot of these people, like the door was shut and like, I don't even know if that door can open again.
Yeah, that's a thing. That's another thing that's interesting too. Is there like a time frame where it's like once you go past this point, then you're past the point of no return? And
I don't know if anybody's ever passed the point of no return. I think it's definitely it's a mental game.
Right.
Like it's 100% a mental thing.
Sure.
And yeah, like science isn't even close to understanding the power of what the mind can do.
Yeah.
And like the power of a human spirit and hope. And I think that once you realize how powerful those things are, like you would never discount them.
Right.
Because there are people that would like, I was one of them. It was pretty much like you told me like one thing and I was like, I don't think so. I'm going to go this way. You know, like it was like I had a doctor who's like, I don't think you'll ever lift 70 pounds off the ground again. I was like, okay, maybe you wouldn't, but I think I'll be okay. Yeah. Like I'll be able to do more than that.
And that's it. I mean, that's just a crazy perspective for you to even think that when it's coming from a doctor.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like we're talking about a doctor, right?
Yeah.
We're supposed to.
These are supposed to be holy figures in our society, right? And I think that's like I think people like that don't understand how much power they hold over a lot of people.
Yeah.
Personally, me, none.
But you're right though. Yeah. No, it's a massive responsibility.
Yeah.
To like, cause like you could literally say one thing which could change somebody's entire perspective on their life.
You would change an entire life. Yeah. I'm a doctor disrespecter.
Yeah. Are you?
No, there are definitely doctors that I highly respect.
Sure.
But I think a lot of them aren't in
humans too, right?
I think a lot of them aren't in the game though. Like I think that's the thing is like a lot of doctors like they're not in the game of like wellness. Yeah. They're in the game of like, I'm going to do what the textbook said to do.
Right. And
therefore I'm doing the right thing.
Yeah.
And it's like, no, you're not. You're not even a scientist at that point. You're essentially a person. Sorry?
A robot.
Well, yeah, you're
just going through the motions.
You're a conformist.
Yeah.
You essentially like listen to what everybody else said and apparently that's the best way of doing it. That's not science. Like science is always looking for a better way to do things.
Right.
And I think that's the malice that I don't want to say malice, but the discontent I have with a lot of doctors is that like they don't push the envelope at all. They're afraid to because of one of many different things, liability or whatever. But at the same time, like, are you actually doing the best for your patient when you're not willing to do that?
Yeah.
Are you actually following like the oath that you took?
Sure.
And a lot of the time it's like, I think you're not in it for the patient.
Yeah. Yeah. Are you just here to have bedside manner and create some level of comfort, or are you here to actually make this person's life better?
For sure.
You know what I mean? Are you looking at the future and like what's actually going to happen?
And I will say the hilarious part about this doctor telling me that is I understood what his game was, because his game was actually to be like, fuck you, I'm going to do it anyway. But most people were like, oh, this guy's next to God. He knows what he's talking about.
Right.
Therefore, I'm going to, I'm never going to lift 70 pounds off the ground again.
Yeah.
Right. Whereas I think his game was actually more so like to be like, you know what I'm saying?
I kind of know what you're saying, but I want you to spell it out for me now.
No. Like I think his game was actually to be like, I want you to prove me wrong.
He wanted you to fight him on it.
Pretty much.
He wanted to give you the strength to be like,
precisely.
I'm going to do this because you're telling me.
Precisely.
Fuck,
which is a very twisted game. It's a twisted game.
It's a twisted game. It could backfire. Yeah. Like it's a big gamble.
I think it backfired a lot of the time. But I think with the right person, it was like the best thing ever. Right.
Because I mean, realistically, he's I guess you got to know the right personality type for that, right? Because you need somebody who's willing to fight. Hard.
And I'm like literally I'm literally like the guy who does the opposite of what you tell me to do. Yeah. Right. So it's like, I want you to sit down. Okay, I'm gonna stand up.
Yeah.
Like I'm literally that person. So it was the right fit for me. But yeah. Yeah. No, looking back on it, it was very interesting.
Yeah.
Because it was like, that is the game.
Well, this is like, that's honestly, I'm stoked to get into this actually. Like the next one we do is this was going to be about that journey.
Yep.
And
that sounds great, man.
Excited to talk about that with you.
Yeah.
Frick, man, we've been going on for like.
Oh, and that one just died. So
look at that.
Oh, geez.
Should we just like do a quick pause?
That's actually like a good foray into like the next episode for sure.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
So okay, so we'll wrap this one up today. I don't even know what this was about, really.
Not either do I. Those are the best podcasts, though. Like honestly, you go into it and you're just like,
we'll let ChatGPT find a title for us on this one.
How do you do that? Do you just like put it into the like you take the video file, you put it in, it listens to the video?
No, I like when I was making those descriptions.
Yeah,
I was just very thorough. Like I was like, this is what the podcast was about. This is basically what we talked about.
Yeah.
Right. And then what I did was I took bullet points. Right. So I'd listen to the episode and I'd make bullet points. I'd be like, give me a description based on these bullet points.
Sure. Yeah. Okay.
So that's the way that I do it.
I like that.
I listen to the episode.
I don't like it when you send it to me on text messages though, because you're an iPhone guy and it goes to my Android. It sends me like 50 text messages.
Does it really? Oh shit. Okay, I won't do that again.
No, you know what?
50? Really?
Yeah. I'll get like Signal or something. We'll figure this one out.
Yeah. Or what?
I believe in it. Right? I believe in us. We can figure this one out.
Yeah.
But no, it's pretty funny.
If we can figure this out, then we can figure that
out. Yeah, you sent me a message the other day. I was like, this is the description. And I was like, I like it. But it's also like this long.
Can we make this in an email form?
Yeah. No, it's funny.
Yeah.
No, that's awesome. Dude, like that's a great foray though into the next episode, because that will be that'll be a good one for sure.
Yeah, I'm excited too, because like I'm already, like I said, I'm like 20 so minutes into the long and hard episode, so I want to listen to that one and the other one, and I was just like, it's bringing me back to the first time I listened to it, so I'm like,
nice.
I'm super intrigued for that. So
nice.
So we got one lined up for then, and
yes, sir.
Yeah,
let's do it. I can't wait for that one. So
all right. Oh, and shit, we need an intro.
Yeah.
We need an intro and we need an outro. And what else do we need? What else do we need for the podcast? I think that's it, right?
Lives. We need lives.
What do you mean? What's lives? Oh, you want to do like a live? Like,
no. We need lives.
Oh. All right.
I'm just kidding.
So, what about guests? Now we can do guests.
Dude, we could even do guests.
Dude, do you want to do guests?
Absolutely.
Who the fuck would we have on?
People that are dads.
Dads?
Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe not.
I thought it would be cool to have Rebecca and Stacy on.
That would be really cool, actually.
Yeah.
One will have to sit in your lap and one will have to sit in my lap.
I was just going to say, we might need to get one more microphone, but I mean, the lap idea works too. If we wanted to do that.
These are not bad. You could like sit back from them and like.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay, well, we got lots of good things coming up on
so many ideas.
So many ideas. We got a cool new space that we're recording in now.
Yeah.
We're going to learn how to get this like looking really fucking cool.
Really good.
I'm going to put maybe some different colored lights back there. I'm going to wash this dirty wall behind me. Shit, man, it's going to be legit.
Yeah. This is insane. This is the most legit like setup ever.
Yeah?
Thus far, yeah.
Shit.
Yeah.
And I just kind of like slapped it together.
No,
so.
that's all it takes is slapping it together.
Here we go. Rock and roll.
Cool, man.
All right, brother.
Talk to you next time.
Next time.